New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge, on the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here. Every week we come onto this platform to talk with amazing individuals that are channeling their time, talent, energy, and resources, their love, their creativity into doing good works in the world. And today we have another beautiful soul that I can't wait for you to meet. Her name is Cerise Patron. And let me tell you a little bit about Cerise. She is an internationally recognized inspirational singer, songwriter, motivational speaker, and spiritual tour operator. And she has a company called Sacred Spiritual Tours. She has produced 4 CDs of her music and is also for hire as a songwriter for churches, organizations, companies, retreats, individuals who desire deeper inspiration to help them reach the next level of their dreams, and memorial songs for their loved ones. She also owns Sacred Spiritual Tours and guides spiritual immersive healing retreats in Central and South America. She is currently in ministerial school at Emerson Theological Institute. We love Emerson Theological Institute. And she travels around the world, around the country, singing and speaking in unity and religious science churches. Her desire is to spread love and empowerment to everyone she meets, as long as she continues to have breath in her body. Welcome, Cerise.
Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here with you.
Well, it is my joy to have you on the show. I know that we met for the first time last year in October at the Unity Village in Missouri, and we had a connection then, and ever since then I've been longing to get you on the show, and finally you're here, and I'm so happy for everyone to get a hit on your amazing energy. And for those that are listening to the podcast, you won't be able to see this, but for those of you that are watching the pod live, you'll see her website is on the screen here, and it says welcome to Sacred Spiritual Tours, and you have a beautiful website. I was looking at it last night, and I'm really excited to dive in and connect with what it is you do on these Sacred Spiritual Tours.
Absolutely,
But before that, I really want to get to know you at an even deeper level. So who were you as a young one, and how were you a singer at an early age, and what were you spiritually inquisitive? Tell us a little bit about you before you became this adult amazing guide and support for so many.
So I will start by saying that I think I've always been a minister of love. That's been my whole life. My whole family on my dad's side sings, plays guitar, plays piano, writes music. So that was nothing new. So it was probably 2 when I started singing, although my family says I sounded like a frog, like a little frog. But it was not unheard of to be singing, writing music, doing plays. We're just a really creative and talented family. My whole family is really talented. So we, just to split it up. So half of my family is LDS, and the other half is sort of Pentecostal and fundamental Christian. So everyone in my family who's on the fundamental Christian side is a pastor of a church or a minister. So I think that's sort of in our blood. It's kind of the family business to do that. Um, and on the LDS side, everyone is a leader in the church in some way. I mean, everyone is always trying to minister to help others. So I think that's what I was taught from an early age, was that the most important thing you can do is be of service to others and help as much as you can in the world. And so I'm grateful that I get to, even though I'm not an accredited minister yet, I don't have my credentials yet, I feel like I already am a minister. I'm a minister of love, and I use music and tours and pretty much everything at my disposal to try to be that in the world in every way that I can.
Well, as you're sharing all of that, I'm now putting the pieces together that you and I already know this. We're a part of an Enneagram group of people.
Mhm.
And I know your Enneagram type. Can
Yes,
I
I'm a
share it?
2.
You're a
I'm a
two.
2. I'm the
Yeah.
helper.
Yeah, the being in
Yeah.
service to others, there's no surprise there. Wow. So
Yeah,
it started early for you. You were raised in that kind of environment with those particular values at the forefront, being of service, supporting people on their spiritual journeys.
yeah.
So do you have one or two people in your family that you would consider really impacted this interest, this spark within you?
Absolutely. I would say my grandmother, who passed in 2006.
Mhm.
My grandmother Betty was, I think, like another mom to me. She played piano. She learned by ear when she was younger. She was sort of the link, by the way, between the two religions in my family, because she was in Oklahoma. She was a preacher. She was a singer. She was heading a church. And then when she met my grandfather, they got married and moved to Mesa. And then a woman and her daughter came to the door and knocked and brought a Book of Mormon. And they went, okay, we are Mormon now. So part of the children they had stayed in the first theology that they had in religion, and the second part went to the other. So now there's these two that merged. And I would love to say that my grandmother helped everyone. She always said, be a blessing and be blessed. Those are the two most important things, is don't just be blessed by God, but be a blessing in the world.
Mhm.
And she did everything she could to help. And I remember, even as maybe when I was 10, she would take us, because she used to clean the homes for people who lived in nursing homes. She would clean their houses for them and help, and then sing to them. So we would go sing in nursing homes, and we did shows for people. We used to feed the homeless every year together. I mean, as a family, it was always about being of service. My father is the second person. He sadly passed away 3 years ago.
Mm.
But he was also a singer and a songwriter. And he and I, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, we used to sing together and preach in churches. And so, I never really questioned spirituality. Because of them, I felt like I knew exactly who I was. And it wasn't until I was 19 years old, almost 20, and my very best friend at the time took her life
Mm.
in front of me, and I held her as she passed. That was the first time I questioned my faith, my religion, my belief system. And I think that was what led me on the journey to find New Thought, to find where I landed was religious science. It's what led me there, and what ultimately created, I think, my own real relationship. Not just believing what I was told, but finding my way and settling into who I really wanted to be. and finding my own actual beliefs and my own relationship with spirit, with my higher power, and not just doing it because everybody else did it.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like you really found a connection,
Yeah.
independent of a religious organization or structure, even though those things were very important and impacted you as you
Yeah.
deepened your relationship with the divine or source
Yeah.
energy, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find so many people come to New Thought because their religion of origin couldn't contain something that maybe they were challenged with, and I'm imagining with a suicide, um, a lot of religious organizations have some pretty firm beliefs around that, and reconciling that, that it actually happened to a dear loved one of yours, but not supported or honored, that choice. Um, so I can really feel
Yeah.
that, and it probably deepened your search for
Yeah.
connection as well.
Mhm.
Uh,
For real connection. Yeah.
yeah, real
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
So when was this discovery of New Thought, and how was your journey as you put your toe in those waters?
Yeah. So I will say that I had never even heard of New Thought. Sorry, my throat's a little dry today. So I had never even heard of New Thought. And then when my friend passed away, she had purchased a book, Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. She had purchased that book, but she hadn't read it yet. And so her husband, when we were cleaning her things, I was helping at the house. And her husband said, she never read this book and I don't know what it is. Do you want it? And I said, yes. And so I took that book and I remember thinking, I'm going to try to see if there's something in this book that would have saved her life. How
Mm,
could I have stopped it from happening? How could I maybe there's something in the book, maybe there's something that if I had only known it, I could have changed the outcome. And I started reading the book and I just cried through most of it. Every time it said, there's a purpose. Every single thing that has happened has led you to this moment. I would just cry.
mm,
And I felt so aligned. For the first time, I felt like I was reading something that was meant for me to read,
mm,
not just for anyone to find, but it was mine. And they were words that were somehow written just so that that moment I would have that to read. And it said in the book there are religions that believe very similar to this, and one of them is religious science, and one of
mm,
us unity of practical Christianity, and I sort of put that in the back of my head, and it wasn't until a year later when I had lost my job. It was a mess. I was 20, lost my job, gotten kicked out of my apartment. I had nowhere to live. I was destitute. I was at the very bottom of what I would have called, the bottom for me. And I saw this shopping center on 12th Street in Northern here in Phoenix that said Creative Living Fellowship, a religious science church and teaching center. And I went, religious science, wasn't that what that book said was similar to that? So I walked in on October 8th of 2001.
wow.
I walked in those doors and I cried through the music. I cried through the message. I just felt like I was home. I had finally found my way. And so I walked up to the minister that day. It was Reverend Michelle Whittington. I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, I sometimes sing. I'd love to." She said, "We've got a choir starting." And I think it was 2 or 3 years that I never missed a Sunday. after that. And I started singing at the church. I started breaking out and doing, singing at other places. I was still a mess. I was smoking a pack a day. I was, I was sort of just finding my way like young people do. And I started really taking responsibility for my own life, for my own choices, grieving, allowing myself to grieve, which was such a big piece. Um, and and then it grew from there. And I really got this call to be a singer in these churches, to in this idea of that love is all there is, that we are connected to it because we were made from it. The idea that we are in control of our destiny as much as we can be because we're co-creators, right? Um, and I got the call to write music, to sing it, to create CDs, and to really step into what I consider a ministry of love.
Mm.
And now I'm working toward getting my credentials as a religious science minister, but I already am a minister, as I think all of us know that we are. Well, when we know, and my ministry is love.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just noticing you've got some comments here. Cerise is genuinely a bright love bubble. And Laura says this, and I've learned more about spiritual healing and the depth of authenticity of my soul from following Cerise to churches all over the valley, there in Phoenix area, and
Mm.
singing and awakening my very traumatized soul. So
Aw.
thanks, Laura, for sending those
Thank you,
kind
Laura.
words. I can only imagine the hundreds of thousands of lives that you've touched through your songs, through your music, through your voice.
Hmm.
Um, so what is the theme of your music? It seems fairly obvious, but
Well, yeah.
what is it that you're trying to do with your music in helping and support people?
Yeah. So I call my music inspirational because that's really what I hope it is. I hope that it inspires people to love themselves more, to love each other more, to believe in themselves. I mean, really, at the end of the day, all the music I write is music that I need to hear. I think that's how music and artistry in general work. I need to hear that love is the answer. So I sing that love is the answer. I need to remember that it's okay to wake up happy and be who I am. So I wrote a song called I Woke Up Happy. Um, and I figure if I'm going through stuff, other people are too. And I hope that they feel what I'm singing. But above that, I can honestly say that when I sing, I break my soul open. And I hope that it breaks their soul open too, so that our souls meet in the
Wow.
place that Rumi spoke of,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. That place beyond all the wrongdoings and the right
and
doings
right
says,
doing.
feel,
Yeah.
I'll meet you
Yeah.
there. So talking about Rumi and that field and meeting people there, have you connected with your friend that chose suicide? And you
Yes.
said that her husband had said she had not read that book.
Right.
And when you read it, you just were overwhelmed with emotions and feelings
Yeah.
that there's truth here. So I'm wondering, there seems to be a deep soul connection between the two of you.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, can you share a little bit about that? Because as much joy as you got out of reading that book, there
Yeah.
must have been some sense of, oh my gosh, if only she had read it.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I had a lot of dreams where she and I would meet and we would talk. And one of those dreams, we were in a valley. It's interesting now that I say that. We were in a valley and there was a house and she had a flower garden. She was gardening and she had a porch swing and I sat with her on the porch swing so many times in my dreams with her. And she would tell me the truth about death.
Mm.
And so she told me, she said, being a human is like being stuck in an egg. And she said, you are a huge, beautiful eagle, and your wings are curled up, and so you only can feel your surroundings are. And she said, and when the moment that my spirit left my body, it felt like I got to spread my wings and I understood everything. And so there were so many of those moments that helped me realize that even in tragedy, and I really want to preface this by saying I understand how painful what I'm about to say can be. Even in tragedy, I don't believe that any life on this earth leaves before its time.
Mm.
And I know that not everyone who believes that or has come to terms with that will understand that. But, just 13 years ago, I also lost my son during childbirth.
Mm.
And it was another time for me to ask myself, do I really believe this?
Mm.
Do I really believe that no soul leaves before its time?
Mm.
And I still do. I
Mm.
know that every moment that my friend Donna, like the sunrise, Dawna, Donna, my friend Donna and my son Mateo both went at the moment they were supposed to. And for me, it's heartening to believe and to know that they are there and they are connected to the light, and that I am always connected to them through that same light, and that we are never apart.
Mm.
And so for me, that brings joy and peace to my soul.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that. Well, I'm so sorry to hear of losing your son. Um, and I'm imagining that, we all make sense of what happens in our
Yeah.
lives. And
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way that spiritual systems or religions help us to establish our understanding around what happens
Yeah.
with people after they leave. And it sounds like accepting this wisdom of everyone leaves at the perfect time,
Mhm.
and we're always connected in the light and in love.
Yeah.
That awareness that you had through those dreams and through the tragedy of losing your son, and maintaining your spiritual practices, which we haven't talked about, but I can only
Yeah.
imagine that you have kept you connected to them. And it's
Yeah.
almost, because I feel this way in my world too, because I'm an artist, I feel that those loved ones that have left are a source of inspiration for us,
Yes.
and we can call upon them, the energy of them, to help us to be creative.
Yeah.
And so, can you speak to that as far as some of the songs that you've created? Have they had a hand in any of them?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I will say that that's about the time I started writing music for other people, because I wrote music for my son. I've written music that was based on my friend Donna, and then I started writing memorial songs for
Mm.
people who had crossed, who I felt a connection to. But even when I didn't, even if I didn't know them, when I would hear someone speak of their loved one, I could immediately connect with that and write a song for their loved one. And so that's one of the ways that I started writing music for other people, was based on memorial songs for loved ones that had crossed over, or experiences that had happened that needed resolution,
Mm.
or some sort of peace. And so I was able to write a song that started with pain and resulted in peace.
Mm.
And so I think it's been a blessing to me. And I hope that it has been a blessing to others, and I've heard that it has, so I hope it continues to be. And then above that, when my son passed away, um, I went on a healing journey to Peru.
Mm.
And that is how I created the tours that I currently do. So there is this living legacy, I think, beyond just creativity. I think that as an artist and someone who is so connected to source, I think that it's not just creativity, but it's a way to find a blessing in their honor to the world. And I know that you know what that is. And I because I know that you live that every day is how to be a blessing in the honor of someone you love.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
such a, I'm receiving your words on many levels, as a mother that's lost a child.
Yeah.
But also doing the interview, I'm trying to, track, and um, I know that what you're sharing is really powerful for people to look at the legacy that their relationship with whomever they've
Yeah.
lost, to dig deep and to really explore, how did this person bless me, my life, my world, my
Yeah.
family, and how can I continue to be a channel for
Yeah.
that love legacy?
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of an interesting way that we can reorganize our thoughts
Yeah.
around death and
Yeah.
loss. And it's very hard.
Yeah.
I sit with people on a fairly regular basis, talking through their feelings around loss or
Yeah.
traumas from the past. And it can be extremely difficult to get to the blessing,
Yeah.
because the pain
Absolutely.
and the struggle, it can be so real for them.
Yeah.
Whatever, even having a diagnosis or a
Yeah.
surgery that has put you back,
Yeah.
physically and emotionally, it can be a very challenging time. And so
Yeah.
I can only imagine that the work you do as far as creating personalized songs for people to help them through transitional times, whatever they're dealing with,
Mm.
can be very, very powerful. And this, I'm sure, because you've seen the effects of your ministry, I guess we would call
Yeah.
it at this point. Well, we're going to jump off for a short break, and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes with Cerise.
Okay.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, thesatyacenter, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
People of African Descent New Thought Group proudly presents Celebrating Our Soul, Consciously Creating Change. at Unity Village, Thursday, August 1st through Sunday, August 4th. Some of our greatest keynote speakers, some of our finest musicians and vocalists, some of our amazing and experienced panelists, and some of our fabulous masterclass presenters will be there for you at Celebrating Our Soul, Consciously Creating Change at Unity Village this summer. Regular registration ends June 30th, so don't delay. Register today at padntg.com. Sponsorship opportunities are available at padntg.com. Volunteer opportunities are available at padntg.com. Go there now, padntg.com. See you there.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth. To live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge. On the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
We're back with Cerise, and I'm wondering how you got started with the Sacred Spiritual Tours. You mentioned that you went on one early on, but that was probably before the actual business started.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you tell us about your first trip and how was that like a catalyst to you becoming someone that takes other people on these spiritual tours?
It was. So after my son passed away, he passed away during labor of a cord accident. My in-laws sent my husband and I on a vacation, a trip to try to help us heal or forget or whatever it is we needed, I think, at that moment. And so I told my husband, let's go to Machu Picchu. Let's go. I had never been there. My husband is from Peru, so we were already in Peru at this time. So, and I looked for a healing journey, something that would be spiritual or connecting, not just tourism, right? Even if some of the tourism to that area has shamans or ceremony or things like that that you can participate in, the journey itself didn't have that healing aspect. So my husband and I sort of created it. We did our own journey. We chose our own places. We had our own experience. We got a little teddy bear, and we took that teddy bear all over the tour with us. And we took photos of it in Machu Picchu and on the train and in different places in Cusco. And it was such a healing journey for us and powerful to be there to learn about the customs. And I will say this, and for me, at least, it was so powerful to know that thousands of years ago, pre-Inca, 1,000 years ago, the Inca, that they all dealt with the same things, that mothers still lost children and had to grieve. And for some reason, that helped me feel like I wasn't alone, that I was connected to thousands and thousands and thousands of years of people, whether they were my ancestors or not, but also my ancestors in other places that had lived through this and had come out on the other side. Above that, I had a moment standing at Machu Picchu, overlooking the Sacred Valley below, where I considered jumping. I considered taking my life, because at that point I had lost my son and I didn't know if I could keep going. And I made the choice, standing in that spot, to live in his honor, with him, co-creating life with the divine and with him and my ancestors together, and not just live in spite of that pain. And that powerful decision for me was one of the catalysts for creating these tours, to help other people with whatever it is that their challenge is, because it's not always loss. It's not always grief. Sometimes it's creating a new life from the one that you thought you were going to have, or letting go. There's always grief, I think, involved. But it's really how to move forward. And so these tours are a compilation of my ministry, my love, my care, my soul goes into them. But above that, it's for them to get whatever they need out of it. And we create space throughout the whole tour for them to do that. And then we also have tourism and we have fun and we see cool things. And, it's a very personalized tour. So it's whatever, the group needs. And then we go on the Amazon rainforest on the Amazon River, and we see pink dolphins, and we experience playing with orphan baby monkeys at a rescue center. And, we have these experiences that I think are once in a lifetime. But one of the things I tell everyone who ever goes on a tour or considers it, the God, the power, the transformation you could find in your backyard.
Mm.
God is the same. Power, source, universe, spirit, whatever you call it, is the same in your backyard as it is in Peru. And I'm
Yeah.
encouraging people from going, but sometimes separating yourself from your everyday and seeing such amazing places or things can help you let go of what you think you believe, so that you can deepen into what you really believe and the real truth of your life, and help you walk out of that experience into something bigger.
Mm.
It's taking a leap that I think a lot of us need, and not just Peru. There's lots of places that can happen, and I'm starting to, do tours. I'm planning for next year Greece and Scotland, and starting to do Europe. I do Costa Rica as well. So there's lots of places that can happen, but it can also happen in your backyard. It can also happen just in your heart, because it really is within every single person to do that transformation. So it's one of the reasons that I sing and I connect here so much, is because I hope that I can show people that whether you have the money or the ability to go across the world, your transformation still matters to me. And I will
Mm.
still support you while you're doing that, through music or a hug or a smile or however I can. And if you have the opportunity to travel with me, that's a whole different adventure.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Well, you said something that really resonates with me, and that's that, sometimes people can't get there in their own backyard right
Yeah.
away, but having sort of a course correction or out of your comfort zone or
Yeah.
different geographic can really help you discover a new thread or a deeper
Yeah.
connection to your source and your spirit. And
Yeah.
so I can see the power of going abroad, going to these sacred sites, having someone like you that's had a whole lifetime of discovery as
Mm.
far as how to support people, what they really need. Um, and I'm wondering, it served your soul when you went on this initial trip that
Yeah.
your in-laws gifted you. Um, and so, how long ago was that?
That was 13 years ago. My
Wow.
son passed 13 years ago, June 1st, and July 3rd, I think July 3rd was when we left for our trip. So it's coming up in just a couple of days. It'll be exactly
Yeah.
13 years since we embarked on that journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it's been 7, 8, almost 8 years since I started the company and actually created these tours for others to go, and I've done 16. I've got my 17th coming up in 2 weeks.
Wow. Wow. So, can you
Yeah.
give us a few stories around how people have had big moments, transformations, ahas during your
Yeah.
trips? And I know it's
Yeah.
all private, but maybe.
Well, no, but one of the most powerful things I think is that I get to watch people experience exactly what they've called for. And I hate to say it in that way, but sometimes, I had this beautiful, she's still a great friend of mine, this beautiful friend of mine who said, I am afraid of animals or bugs or things. And we went into the rainforest and we had, she said, I'm here to overcome my fear of those things. And I was like, "Oh, great." So, there's 15 of us and we all have rooms in this huge, thing. And her room was the only one where there was frogs in her shower. There was bugs in her, she just had, and I remember thinking, well, that's what you came here to let. So it's not always this big, transformation isn't always, this aha where the sun shines and sometimes it's these little things. And it's funny because I will see her and she's still like, that was the most transformational trip of my life. And it wasn't just bugs or animals or whatever, it was her stepping into her power, right? Stepping into who she really is. And I've seen it in her life since then. And I think every single person, every person I've done a tour with, I've seen them come back and they are transformed. They've shed a layer of maybe fear or doubt or shame. They've shed that and they've walked into their life as a new person. And I see it with every single person who comes back from Peru or Costa Rica or Mexico. Uh, it's amazing to see these transformations happen where people don't touch the land and all of a sudden download everything from the universe and become shamans.
Oh, we
That's
don't.
not what transformation looks like. I hate to tell you, and one of my friends, told me, I didn't expect transformation to be so hard. And I remember telling her, you know, if it's life changing, it really doesn't imply that it's easy.
So
Life
true.
changing can sometimes be really hard. It's embracing the hard and knowing that you are strong enough, powerful enough, beautiful enough. You are enough to get through to the other side of that. And when you do, you have more faith and confidence in yourself and who you are and your decisions. And you can let that layer go and spread your wings a little bit more.
Yeah, so true. When you're sharing this about the bugs and the frogs and your friend that she was probably hoping for, you know, something more than just overcoming that. I'm sure that was
Yeah.
part of
Oh,
it.
there's lots of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And I was thinking, I did a pilgrimage a few years ago. I did the Camino, and
Mhm.
a, an egoic part of me thought I was going to have this, mystical experience of I don't know what. And but it was more about the little thresholds I had to cross
Yeah.
that were difficult for me. The relationship with my adventure mate, that was challenging because
Yeah.
there you are in the midst of this mystical pilgrimage, but you've got to plan meals and you have to figure out where you're sleeping and what you can do about your blisters and the clothes, and it's raining and you're walking in the rain all day. And so for me, my whole journey was to have a closer relationship with my son who passed.
Yeah.
And we did do that. But the more challenging things that I encountered, the little tiny things where my ego got ruffled, or I had to, speak up or make a decision and push me out of my comfort zone, those are the things that I think really helped me once I came home to look at some of my BS, my belief
Yeah.
systems around, some of the things I get fixated on or I struggle with. It all came up on that pilgrimage for
Yep.
me to go, okay, I can have these big ideas about a mystical experience on the Camino, but really this has helped me really develop some connections with people.
Yeah.
It was more about relationships for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably connection to yourself and who you are, the relationship you have to yourself. And that's, I think that that's so much of the idea of our transformation. We sort of want it to be like a movie. We want to have like this poof and we're, oh my gosh, I know. But real life as a human who is, who's living a human experience, right? We're a spiritual being living a human experience. Real life is that those little things, even in our everyday, are the things that transform. That is our evolution spiritually. It's always something little that you hear and it goes, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And then so I think these tours or journeys that we take are the same way, and we sort of expect them to be bigger, but I don't think that they're not.
Right.
I would say that trip was probably spiritually profound for you,
Oh, absolutely.
and it
Someone said God is in the details, right?
yeah,
It was in those small
yep,
details
yeah, and
that,
I'm sure you're still processing
oh,
parts of it.
absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, actually
yeah,
having a conversation with my Camino companion right after this
yeah,
recording. So, yeah.
yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about you mentioned some of the places that you go,
Mhm.
Machu
Yeah.
Picchu, Cusco. I'm getting all the names
No,
mixed up
that's
here.
correct. Machu
Um,
Picchu and Cusco.
yeah,
Perfect.
and the rainforest, the on the
Mhm.
Amazon.
Yeah.
So, how long are your trips typically, and what do people have to be prepared for? They make their own flight. I'm seeing on the screen it says Lima there. Is that where
Mhm.
you go? They fly there?
Yes. So they fly into Lima. This is the next tour I have to Peru coming up. So this is why this one's the main area on my site. So they fly into Lima. The only thing they have to really cover is their flight into Lima and their flight home. So this tour is 11 days, but we do 11 to 16, depending on the time period of the year and how much people want to explore. So in Lima, we have our opening ceremony. We eat dinner by the ocean. We have this beautiful sort of city experience, and then we fly into Cusco. So everything for the tours for me, I plan everything. I do have my degree in travel and tourism management, and so I have a travel agency. And so I plan everything from the time they arrive. So it is all private. It's all private tour vans and everything. We do fly from Lima to Cusco. In Cusco, we stay in the Sacred Valley for a few days. Then we go to Machu Picchu from there. So we visit sacred sites like Ollantaytambo, Tipon, Pisac. These are all cities that are Incan cities. And then we visit Sacsayhuaman, which is, anybody who's ever seen any documentaries about Peru, these are the 128-ton, sometimes bigger stones that they sort of have no idea how they got up on top of this mountain. And so we go visit those. And throughout the journey, we actually have shamans that we work with. We do ceremony. We do sacred experiences on the land. I'm doing meditation. We sing. Sometimes we have yoga. So it's all of this really taking care of yourself, really dedicating yourself to the experience that you're having, because I make sure no one has to think about things like checking in for their flight or, you know, things, we're going to fly from Cusco to Iquitos. So I do all the check-ins and I just give everybody their boarding passes and I give everybody the itinerary for the day and they don't have to think about any of those things. So they can really just focus on what's around them, the experience that they're having, whether or not they, want to eat or, if they what they want to eat. Those are really the only decisions they have to make. And then after we leave Cusco, after multiple days there, we fly to Iquitos. which is a rainforest city. They call it an island because you can only get there by boat or by plane. And we take a boat out 45 minutes, speedboat down the Amazon, and we stay in a beautiful lodge right on the Amazon River that is a multiple star location. This is not, we don't rough it, you know. And I think some people have wondered, like, oh, how rough it. No, no, no. There's air conditioning in your room. There's a bar. There's a gift shop. There's a fitness center that's air conditioned if you want to work out, though I've never seen anybody use it. There's a pool with a water slide, you know, and we have our own private guide and our own private boat. So we can go, we
Wow.
visit the Monkey Rescue Center, and they are saving orphaned baby monkeys. So we go and we cuddle with them and love on them. And our visit helps support the work that that organization is doing. We go out on the Amazon River to see if we can spot pink dolphins, because they are sacred in those waters. And so sometimes we get to see pink dolphins. Sometimes we just see the gray and pink. And then we have music and dancing and laughter. We visit a local tribe. Sometimes and very often now we get to bring gifts and bring like art supplies or school supplies to a local school. We have a night hike where you can go out into the rainforest at night and see what nightlife is like when the rainforest really comes alive. But my favorite part of the Amazon is that we get to go visit the sacred ceiba tree. It is a 400-year-old, 350-foot tall tree that is in the Amazon. They used to be everywhere, and logging companies came and took most of them. But at our lodge, there is one that is protected. And so we get to go walk to it and visit it and go inside of the roots because it's so big that you can walk inside of the tree. So we go walk inside and we sing and we do a ceremony and we really feel into this tree. And it is so big that it was actually the inspiration for the Tree of Souls in Avatar.
Wow.
It's called the Tree of Life in the Amazon, and so it's a really powerful experience. And there are two blue morpho butterflies. They're about this big. I mean, they're really big. That come out every time we're there.
Oh my God.
And blue butterflies are my symbol for my son. And so every time I'm there, they come out and I'm like, oh, here they've come to visit me.
Oh.
And there we are doing ceremony inside of the tree, honoring life. It's really an amazingly powerful experience that I can honestly say, you know, I don't think many people get to do that. So I'm really grateful that my life is to take other people to do that. I am probably, I don't know, I have so much gratitude. I'm so blessed to be able to do that and to be able to, you know, I mom everybody. They call me tour mom for a reason because I'm the one going, don't eat that, don't touch that. But I'm also the person like, you know, I can feel if your energy is shifted and you need a hug, and I'll go to your room in the evening and sing to you and hug you. I've had people who, you know, have a hard time walking. They have a cane, so they don't hike up things. And we have extra assistance so they don't have to. And at night, I'll go sing to them in their room and rub their feet. So there's a lot that I offer that I think it's not just business. It really is, how can you be cared for while you are journeying physically and journeying spiritually?
So there seems to be a theme with you and your stories and what you've opened up today, that there's like this divine invitation that occurs, that somehow you, through your storytelling of your past, have made it sound like a mystical adventure. Even though there's been tragedy, there's also been these huge blessings. And it feels like these sacred tours for people that are considering joining you, that if they're hearing us talking about it and they're having a feeling like, wow, I'd like to do this, or I want to go and, get a hit on that mother love from from Cerise, and have ritual and song and healing and all of that, that this could be that magical moment for them, this divine intervention, if you will. Like, we're always presented with the perfect person, phone call, opportunity, invitation. But many of us just disregard, oh, I'll get to that later. But I'm just getting this strong sense that there's individuals that will hear you describe your journeys and have a feeling like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to have sacred ceremony in the tree of life. And so this could be that moment for them. And I think a spiritual journey, that are interested in waking up to our essential self, that we are paying close attention to when the universe or when God speaks. And I'm feeling that invitation. Like, I want to say, yes, Cerise, I want to come. And so I'm seeing that you really are so tuned in and offering people an invitation to connect with themselves in a very deep and profound way, and potentially their ancestors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I always end my show with this question. We all know the song, What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love. And I'd love to know, aside for Love, Sweet Love, because I know that that's your mission too, but here on the very growing edge, literally on the very growing edge of our own evolution, as we look out into the world at the moment, as we see the wars happening around the world, the chaos, the political stuff, all of the systems that used to work kind of okay, some of them are falling apart. There's a great opportunity at this point in our collective consciousness and collective evolution. So what do we need? Well, you, Cerise, as someone that's so tuned in, what do you get a sense the world needs to hear or know or experience right now?
I think the first word that came to me was connection. We need connection to each other. I think to ourselves. I think that's one of the things that's lacking, is we're trying to fill the space and this need that we have with outside sources, right? We feel supremely connected because we have internet and technology, but I think it's pulling us away from deep connection with ourselves and with each other. But I would add that we also need grace. We need to give ourselves grace, and we need to give each other grace. I think that those two things would probably change more in the world than we can imagine. Above love, because of course, like you said, love is always what we need.
Beautiful.
But I think connection and grace are desperately needed.
Cerise, thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I know that this show will touch people's hearts and maybe poke them to take a sacred adventure. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Well, another great conversation with a beautiful soul, Cerise Patron. And next week, I'll have my beloved husband, Michael Benjamin, as our guest. And thank you so much for being here today. I trust that Cerise's words, our conversation, have touched your heart, inspired your mind, and that your life is transformed in some way because of it. Here at the very green growing edge. Bye-bye. Peace and blessings. Lots of love.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge.